And that's what you're pointing to, that in actual fact that there definitely is a link between the physical and the emotional and the mental body.
Absolutely.
And when we start really looking beyond just physical into some other space, that's when real transformation can happen.
Yeah, we've really, really, really focused on the physical. Like you just, I mean, if you've had acne for any amount of time, I know it was me and anybody I talked to, you go down the rabbit hole of the internet research, but it's all physical stuff. It's either try these products or never use these products, use only natural ingredients. That's all the topical stuff. Or it's, oh, you need to fix your digestive health, or, oh, you need to cut out dairy, or, oh, you need to check your liver, or like, it's all physical. Like all of it is in the realm of physical, and nobody's really talking about there's another aspect to us other than our physical selves, and they work together. And if you ignore that, whatever it is, the mental and emotional component, whatever you want to call it, spiritual self, whatever, if you ignore that, you're missing a giant piece of the puzzle. We tend to think, and I understand because I struggled with it for so long, like we think my acne is making me feel something. My acne makes me feel unattractive. My acne makes me feel unhealthy. My acne makes me feel unlovable. My acne makes me feel unprofessional. My acne, like on and on and on and on and on. Mm. And it's that connection that is actually kind of, to me, the start of the problem. Because people don't understand, acne doesn't make you feel anything. There is no innate quality to acne. It's neither good nor bad. It is nothing more than, a hair follicle has become blocked and inflamed. That's it. It's a kind of a neutral occurrence. But what we innocently do is we add on top of that. We make that bump mean something. We make it mean that something's wrong. We make it mean that I'm ugly. We make it mean that, all of those things. Innocently, we don't mean to do that because we don't understand the connection between our emotions and what we're looking at out in the world. But it is that connection, that internal dialogue that goes on inside of our head about what it means and what's wrong with it and what I can't do now because I have it, that causes so much stress internally. It causes a very real physiological reaction inside of the body. So if you're super stressed out about your skin, then your cortisol level rises. Your cortisol levels rise because that's the stress hormone that kind of gets you ready for fight or flight. But when your cortisol levels rise, so do the level of free androgens in your system. And androgens are those hormones that contribute to the acne process. So you're not doing it on purpose, but you're innocently kind of keeping the acne cycle active because you're so stressed out about it and you need to go away and you need it to be fixed. And that we get in our way if we don't see that connection first. Because most people I find aren't actually looking for an acne solution, they're looking for an emotional solution. And why I think it's so important to start here is because, for one, that alone can heal your skin in a different way, right? Once you're no longer you're coming from a calmer, grounded place, your body can naturally return to kind of a homeostasis. Naturally, when you're not kicking up all of that thinking and getting worried and frustrated and panicky and all the things that come along when you're looking at your skin, when you're not doing that anymore, your body can just naturally balance those hormones. The inflammation can reduce. That alone could solve a lot of people's problems.
So where would you point somebody if they come to you and you can see that this whole stress is building up into a cycle that's just a never-ending cycle? And people are looking outside of themselves. They are kind of expecting that the pimples are causing my unpleasant reaction, my embarrassment, my wanting to hide, my self-worth. All these things come up. So where else can we look? What is the understanding that you're pointing to that's going to sort of almost stop the cycle or help us to get into a different cycle?
Yeah, that's definitely, it's kind of understanding, and this doesn't just apply to acne, it kind of applies to everything. I'm just looking at it through the lens of acne, is that we are under the misunderstanding of, there are things that happen out there. There are situations and circumstances and events and occurrences and people and places and things and what I look like. That stuff makes me feel something. And so if I don't like how I feel, I need to go out and fix all that stuff. not understanding that that's not how it works. And so now you're out there trying to fix things and causing all kinds of internal stress inside of yourself, which for acne prone folk leads to the acne. So the first thing I want to do with people is help them break that connection, the innocent misunderstanding that it's my skin that's making me feel a certain way. So we kind of look at how that's actually not true. I kind of start pointing them, a lot of people, if they have kind of looked in this direction at all, they think it's like, oh, so I need to think positive. Like, oh, I should look in the mirror and say, I love you, and say like, you're beautiful. And this is not that. It's actually understanding fundamentally, from a very fundamentally different place, that your emotions are not caused by your circumstances. Your emotions are a reflection of the thoughts you're having in any particular moment. And when those thoughts pass, you won't feel that way. And so hanging on to this idea of like, I need to fix my skin so that I can feel better is just logically flawed. And that's
quite different. I mean, that's a complete kind of 180 or 360 degree shift in the way we see the world, because we always tend to say, I'm feeling this because of the circumstances in our lives or the people or the places. But what you're saying is that's not what determines our experience. No, I think what's quite interesting and what sort of was coming through my mind as you said that was that even if I've got skin problems, what I think about my skin problems and what everybody else in my world probably thinks about them are completely different. So everybody is going to be having a different, and I'm going to call it opinion or a thought about what's going on, or and most of the time they probably don't even notice that there's anything wrong or that there's anything happening. So what you're suggesting is that if I have those thoughts and I have the problem skin and I have got a hold of thoughts, I'm making those thoughts up. Well, that relationship up between the feeling and the thinking. Yeah. I'm making that up and I'm making it feel real, and then I'm believing it, and then my body's responding on a physiological level, right, and going into a whole cycle. Whereas if I can see that that's neutral, that goes a long way, and to really see it, and that's how we construct our world in all circumstances.
Exactly. That was beautifully said. Yes, that's exactly it. It's that misunderstanding. Like, this came through when you were speaking. I was like, it's almost like we're like our body's ready for a threat. That's what all of it does. Those are the hormonal changes and the fight or flight response and the stress. It's ready for a threat. And we're telling our body acne is a threat, when it's really not. There's like, acne cannot hurt you. It's not a threat whatsoever, but we're telling, and again, it's an innocent thing, right? Nobody's doing this on purpose. We're not consciously deciding like, I want to make life miserable for myself. But it's like this innocent, misunderstanding, and you're sending that signal to your body of like, this is a threat. And so your body is responding to it as if it's a threat. So we need to stress out. We need to change those hormones. We need to be able to react. And why, again, I always want to point to why, I'm not saying that products don't necessarily have a role, or changing your diet, it may have a role. But until you start here's what's really interesting. So when you're under a lot of stress and you have all that cortisol pumping, one of the things that we are built to do under true stressful situations is, fight or flee. What the body does is it diverts energy away from anything that is not necessary for immediate survival, which includes your digestive system and your reproductive system, right? Your body's like, we don't need this to run from a tiger, so I'm going to divert energy away from these areas. Well, what we're finding now is people who have digestive problems, who are also acne prone, that contributes, like when you don't have very good gut health, when your digestive system is kind of out of whack, for lack of a scientific term, that can contribute to the acne process. So people go, okay, well, I need to fix my digestion, and they'll change their diet and they'll try herbal supplements and enzymes and all these things, but they actually still haven't gotten to the root cause of the digestive problems, which could be the amount of stress that you're innocently putting yourself under constantly. And then they make all these diet changes. They make all these diet changes, and then they're stressed out about their diet changes because now, I can't have the things I love, and I can only eat these things, and oh no, I messed up that I had, an ice cream cone last night and I totally ruined it. Now it's just, you're perpetuating it even further. So even if you're making a change that could help your skin, it's not really going to have a chance to benefit you. It's exhausting too.
Yeah.
It's really exhausting when, like I said, when a lot of people, they're not trying to heal their acne, they're trying to heal their emotions. Like I've talked to hundreds of women by now, and some guys, I mostly work with women, and I tend to always ask the question, well, why do you want your acne gone? And they'll say, so I can feel better. So now you're not looking for an acne solution, you're looking for an emotional solution. And when you're doing that, and then you go out on the internet with the infinite amount of things that people say, this might be causing it, and you should cut this out and only use this and never use that. And like, there's just thousands of things that people suggest. And you go like, okay, well, I'm going to try that one or those 8. And your approach is it's not about, I'm curious if this will help my skin. It's, oh my God, please let this work so I can feel okay. Well, not only are you probably not going to give that thing actually a chance, because every single day you're going to be going to the mirror like, did it work yet? Did it work yet? Did it work yet? Which is, keeping you under that stress. But at the same time, if you've decided this doesn't work, well, now you're just exhausted. You feel beat up. You feel run down. You like, it's just way harder on you than it needs to be. But if you're coming from a grounded place of like, I know that what my skin looks like does not actually dictate what my experience is. It has no correlation whatsoever. When you know that, and then you go, okay, well, I still want to try something for my skin. Let me try this over here. Well, if that thing may or may not work. It's really hard to find the connection between what's going on with ourselves and our skin. So you're probably going to have to try a lot of things. Well, now you could try something. And if it doesn't work, you can just go, okay, good to know. What else do I want to try? It's not that exhaustion. It's not that, getting beat up. It's a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm. You're helping us kind of like, rather than just putting Band-Aids on the system. And as you say, you can try any number of different Band-Aids. Some might work to some degree and some might not. And then it goes for a bit and comes back.
Right.
But what you point into something is so much more hopeful and so much more relative to our world, that it's like a gift to how we do life.
Yeah.
And how transformative is that?
Extremely. One of the other things that often comes up inside of my conversations is kind of just the idea of control. We're trying so hard to control our circumstances. One of the biggest frustrations people, when I say like, well, what frustrates you the most? Like, I can't control it. I don't know why it comes or why it goes.
It's really interesting.
And like, nobody will really say this, but this is just a fact. This is the truth. You may never figure it out. Right? Because we're just scratching the surface on kind of beginning to understand the body in general, like how it works and why things do the things it does. So, my mom had acne until her late in her 50s, right? You may never find the thing, because it could be a combination of things, and even if you do, that doesn't mean you can control it. See, I still break out from time to time. It seems to me like my acne, obviously still stress. I can't control all the stress in my life, right? This isn't about, so stop stressing out. Sometimes my skin still breaks out. Sometimes it breaks out. I have zero idea why. Sometimes it's air quality. I live in Los Angeles, and if the air is particularly bad, I can't control the air quality. I can't, just make the smog go away. So even if you cannot control what happens to your skin, but when you understand you don't have to, and it doesn't matter, well, then life just gets a whole lot easier, and you're not limited in the way that you were before.
Yeah, and you realize that it will settle. So you kind of just give yourself a little bit of a breathing space to realize that, well, I understand the link. You're not getting stressed. So you give your hormones and you give the whole body, the physiology of the body, just time to deal with whatever it is.
Right.
Knowing that you've got that resilience, which I think is so huge, is to have that resilience.
Yeah.
And that's what you're offering.
Exactly. Our bodies are like, the physiology of how this thing works is way smarter than my conscious brain. It knows better than I do. And when I'm kind of, as long as I'm not getting in the way, it will just take care of stuff. Like, things will come and go, like breakouts will come and go. Like that's just going to happen for most people. You know, aiming for 100% clear skin 100% of the time is also going to cause you a lot of stress, because if you have, you know, the DNA that leads to acne, that might just not be in the cards for you.
Yeah.
But to be able to see, like, you can still have, it doesn't need to mean anything. Well, that actually gives you everything you're looking for, right? You're looking to feel better. When you already feel better, the body can figure it out on its own.